This week with just me, Pete, and Callaway. Next week we will be bringing on Will Kraft, so keep your eyes out for that one. This week, me, Pete, and Callaway end up going into a bunch of different stuff. It's a bit of a shorter episode, but a really good one, really entertaining, a lot of good stuff. We dive into all types of recruiting things with Peter out at Grand Canyon. He discusses a little bit of what he looks for in a recruit and things like that. Talk about how Peter is scheduled to play Penn State this year, which is a matchup against his alma mater, so he's really excited to get into that. We also talk a little bit about Pete's Russell rant a couple weeks ago about effort, and we talk a little bit about hustling for balls, going into crowds, things like that, and some wild plays. So make sure you tune in. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share.
Maybe life is just a freight train, and it's moving forward.
All right. So as we talked a little bit before, let's do a little update. Let people know it's been a while since it's been just the three of us on. So give a little update with what people are up to. Callaway, you want to go first?
Yes, I'm excited. A little bittersweet ending to the high school season. Our varsity team made it to the sectional championship and unfortunately lost. It was a really tough three-setter that went to extra points. And in Illinois, it's best 2 out of 3, not best 3 out of 5. So I know some high schools do it the other way, but that's how it is in Illinois. So that was tough, but it's nice because now it's going to free up some time for me to be able to put more into what we're doing here today.
Nice. Pete?
Well, fortunately, I'm going to be getting a little busier as things move on. I will have some breaks and we'll still be invested in still doing the rants and everything. But in terms of the podcast, it may be a little bit tougher to find the free weekend. I'm now coaching at Grand Canyon. And so as the season gets closer, we've been going a little bit more involved, getting more involved with our practices and been recruiting a good amount. This weekend, actually, we'll be going to Las Vegas to play Long Beach State, who, from what we've been hearing, they've been doing some really, really great things in the gym. So should be a really good match. We're excited for that. And then the season obviously starts in January. So things are going to be getting pretty busy for me, but definitely excited for what's coming up.
My hip just almost had a problem. That's not good. Well, I guess that gives my update. Out in Germany, obviously, as we've talked about before. We just had an off weekend, sadly. We wouldn't have been off if we would have won our cup match, but we lost, and this weekend was cup for first and second division. So since we lost, we were out. Just training. We got a match this weekend against Bonmund, who's up like most northern part of Germany above Berlin by the water. I heard it's really pretty, but obviously we won't get to see much because you guys know how it goes when you travel. But we got them. Other than that, we're doing pretty good. I mean, had a cup loss and a league loss, but we were coming off of a couple of wins. So hopefully we can turn it back around and we got some people healthy again. So hopefully it all comes back. But
all right. So I got some questions here. Go ahead, Peter.
I was just going to say, how's the body holding up? That hip wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, my body's actually been really good, surprisingly. And it feels not surprising. I'm not going to. I mean, I've been doing right treatment and stuff, but I've just had this weird issue on the right side of my body where I'm having this hip pain and it gets really weak randomly. And then I had a little knee tingle. I just think it's just a lot of overwork. Because obviously we're lifting a bunch, we're playing a bunch, a lot of jumps. And you guys know how it is in Europe. I mean, there's no rarely do you get a jump count for a practice. It's bro, you're jumping a billion times. And if you say something, you're probably still not going to get the break. So, but no, I mean, it's just little things. I don't think it's too bad. I've been doing some rehab and it feels better every day. But I don't know, when I sit down, I always throw my knee out to the right to try to get it to pop, which probably doesn't help anything, but I think it helps. So.
Yeah, maybe, man. I don't know. I'm no medical professional or anything, but I've had my fair share of hip issues. So could be just an impingement or something, but I would definitely work on your, just working out those muscles and the whole surrounding the hip joint, because all that stuff pulling on it is what usually makes that painful.
Yeah, I mentioned it to Ron too. And every time I talk to him about something, I'm like, man, my hips, he's like, all right, do this. And he just automatically gives me advice. I'm like, okay.
I was thinking
I'm sure you're doing what you need to do.
I don't trust him though.
I was going to ask you, Brandon. Dang it, what was I going to ask you?
My bad. I'll take the blame for that one.
No, it had something to do with oh geez. So I don't know. I guess it was going to be something. Had something to do with your team's performance and just like a gauge of it. And because you had said you just come off some wins and now you had a couple losses. I don't know. It's really gone, to be honest with you.
Maybe it'll click back. But we can get back to my team a little bit later in the episode if we want to. Maybe that'll ring a bell.
I definitely have a question for Peter that I do remember, and that is, I think that it feels more and more like as the years go on that we've been out of college that there's just more and more competitive teams because the sport's growing. And I wanted to ask you what you felt like. What's one of the main factors that's keeping teams that are like perennial teams super good? Is it like the coaching? Is it just the name behind the school that helps with recruiting? Like how much does like a coach and their ability to coach impact how the team's going to do in like the modern NCAA D1 volleyball?
Well, so first off, it's funny that you brought that up because like before the podcast here, I honestly was thinking, I was like, man, I swear it's gotten so much more competitive. There's just so many more really good teams now. And I mean, from my experience so far, I think, yes, the name behind the school obviously is a big draw. I mean, like you guys remember what it was like to be recruited, I've got like one letter from UCLA, and UCLA used to send, like, I'm sure they sent out to a bunch of kids. I was like, just a freshman, and they like want me to go to a camp or something. I'm like all amped about it, telling all my buddies. It's like, so yeah, the name behind the school definitely helps. But I mean, I think also just as a whole, the sport's growing. And I think that coaches are becoming more and more aware of, I guess, what drills to run and what to teach. I think that the USA pipeline, at least for a while, had done a really good job. And I think that because of how well USA has done as a whole, I think that you get a lot of other coaches that are able to learn from that. And so I think it's a combination of things, really. Plus, I know recent data and things have been saying that the sport's just been growing in terms of high school and club level. So I think more and more athletes are coming up now, learning about this sport and realizing how great it is. So I think it's really just a combination of things. But I'm excited for the season to start, man, because like you said, it's going to be a lot of good teams. I honestly consider us up there. I think that when we're on, we're really, really good. I think that, like I said, Long Beach is going to be really, really good. Pepperdine returned most of their team, and then they added Jalen, obviously, who we had on the show. First ever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he was our first episode ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to be really, really strong. Penn State, I think, as well, is going to be.
Dude, really good. They're young guys. They're old guys now, have been like on the court together since like even when I was in college still. So now they're all like juniors and seniors. They're going to be thudding balls like Brett Wildman, Kyle Fisher, Jesus.
I mean, and Brett got some international experience this year too. I mean, that's going to be, we actually go to them in January. It's for 2 matches, man. That's going to be a tough match. Both of those matches will be tough. So it'll be fun to get back to the alma mater and be able to compete up there, but
dog them down.
It's going to be good. Yeah. I mean, that we're going to have to play well. Like I said, Penn State, I think, is going to be good. As always, Loyola, Lewis, Ohio State are always strong. I mean, it's going to be a really, really tough season, I think.
I think it's hysterical because I can already see Peter's going to be so excited to like beat up on Penn State if he can. As much as he loves his alma mater, once he has somewhere where new blood lies, he's all about it. Like when I signed to Charleston, he's like,
I'm all GCU. Yeah.
He was like, when I was at Charleston, he's like, dude, I want you to beat Penn State. Like, I want you to beat them. He was like, it kind of proves that my year was the best year if you guys beat Penn State.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, that's so funny. I can already hear Pav just, if Penn State wins, it's going to be something like, well, welcome to the NCAA, Peter.
I will say, man, when I saw him recruiting, he gave me the biggest hug, dude. He was just, like, so great to see him, and he just was so happy that I know. And it's, he was so excited, like even just scheduling us and everything, talking to Matt Worley. We're actually going to be playing at Juniata. That's where Matt played as well. So, I mean,
that's sick.
it'll be fun to get to go there. And I have like close friends too. The Thomases live in Huntingdon, so I'm sure I'll get to see them, my family. So I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to get to go up there, kind of feel like a homecoming.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to play against Paul. That's where the real fun will be.
Do you guys play Paul this year?
Yeah.
I mean, unless we go, get to the tournament or
Oh, you don't have them on schedule?
No.
Damn.
I mean, it's just so expensive to go out to the East Coast.
And they came to you guys like I think the same year that we went, like 2019. Maybe they'll make the trip out. Some of those East Coast teams have a California trip planned this year. I don't remember who, but for anybody listening who doesn't know, Peter's younger brother, Paul Russell, is an outside in his freshman year at Mason. So obviously it would be sick if they could match up. The competitiveness would go gnarly. And I would love to watch that, honestly. But
I would maybe have a specific film session on how to talk about my brother. He's really sensitive about this stuff.
Oh my gosh, that just is unfair, man. I've heard stories about how much you guys used to abuse your younger brothers.
I was about to say that's the epitome of Paul. That's exactly how it would go. It's like, man.
No, it toughened him up. I don't think very much would be able to phase him now.
I agree with that. He's not soft. Like, you guys didn't break him down and like not build him back up. Like Paul can take the heat. I love it. Yeah, he's not weak. But with what you were saying, Callaway, I want to touch back a little bit. Talking about like the name and certain things and how some of the like historical teams are always good. I agree completely. And I think money also has a lot to do with it. Like, I'd say the name has more to do with it than the money, because, something like a Penn State, Ohio State, Long Beach, they're always going to have money for that program because they're winning programs and it's just historical thing. But like a team like Grand Canyon, Peter, where you are, and you don't need to speak on this because obviously you're a coach and no need to, but when I was coming in and when I was getting recruited, like I didn't even know who Grand Canyon was. Like, I think they were still kind of coming up as like a not newer team, but they were kind of building their rep. And this is when they made the coaching change to Worley, is when I was signing that year. And Will Schwab was signing to play out there too. And so I was like, dang, they're kind of a younger program. They had a little more notoriety for sure than Charleston because it was our first year in Division I. But like GCU just had so much like money to outfit. Like Will would show me what gear they got. I was like, damn, bro, I got gypped. I would see their locker room in their stadium. I'm like, fuck. And Charleston has like nice stuff. And when I was there, luckily we got a new stadium, which is sick. And our locker room ended up being dope. And now that I'm gone, like Charleston, I think's even gotten a little bit more money. And like some of the guys there, I see like the gear that they get. I'm like, bro, and like, so obviously with that appeal too, like you get a 17, 18-year-old in the door and you show them like a fat gym, a sick locker room, Arizona sun, and you're sponsored by Nike. Like if they're not getting offered from like UCLA, Hawaii, Long Beach, Penn State, and you guys, they're most likely taking you over every other school.
That's another point for sure, is the facilities. Like GCU has really great facilities, and to speak on the school, I was at Stevenson volunteering last season, and their facilities, it's a D3 program in Maryland, but their facilities are also really, really nice. And so that's a huge draw to people. Again, like, I mean, you guys remember what it's like to get recruited. For us, I mean, Penn State, I would walk in and it was just the history and everything behind Rec Hall and what it, just you could see all the banners with all of the, national championships, conference championships, all the All-Americans, all that stuff. Just the history is awesome.
And
yeah.
Stubby.
Oh yeah, my dad's up there, man. Full head of hair and everything. It was he had some flow, man. Believe it or not, that man had some flow.
That was a favorite picture I've ever seen of your dad. He pointed it out to me too. We were at Paul's recruiting trip. He was like, right there. I was like, nice.
That's great. Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying wholeheartedly, and I think a lot of it probably has to come down to recruiting at this point. Like being able, because like we said, there's just so much talent out there, and realistically with how it shakes down in just roster spots and Title IX and all that stuff, like there's just not enough spots for all the really good athletes. So if you find them and you can build a team that has a really good culture, then you can make something special happen, especially with how the league is now.
And if you like back it up like 10 years or whatever, because we're doing like a big comparison here basically. But if you look back then, like I think those guys that were really athletic that either weren't big enough or like there just wasn't enough roster spots for them, like they were getting picked up by like Springfield and some of the D3s that were really good that would put together like gnarly teams. And like back then, like it was only those few, like even most people knew those small D3s that were getting like stacked players just from like the trickle down water effect. And I feel like now every day, like I get on a social media, like I see a new like D2 or D3 or NAIA that like I see clips from their practices. I'm like, dude, some of these kids can ball. And then like I see a random team I've never even heard of is at like Long Beach's like playing match and they're like beating UCSD, and I don't know if it was UCSD or Concordia or something. They're competing with Concordia. I'm like, dude, there's just like a wild amount of pool of like random college teams now that'll just walk in and like have you guys, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about this actually. Sorry, I'm about to go on a sidetrack, but this is going to be good. Have you guys seen that summer league baseball team in Georgia, the Bananas? You guys had to have seen some clip. You've never seen a clip of these guys. Dude, so they were like a middle of nowhere. Nobody gave a shit about them. Like summer baseball team, they sucked forever. And this guy like became the owner of them or bought them out. I don't know what happened. And he was like, I'm going to like turn this program around. And it's like essentially what a summer baseball team is like when the guys aren't in college, it's not like volleyball where you can just play pickup easily with baseball. To get good competition, they join summer teams like that are all college athletes that play in a big summer league. And down in Georgia, there's a huge one. It's popular. And they started like getting people in and they had like 10 fans at their game. And they started doing like crazy shit to get fans out there. Like they would have like players walk up in banana suits and like play the game in a banana suit. They would have crazy entrances. Like fans would be throwing bananas out. Like they would just do all these crazy, insane, like, and they like the players had all freedom. Like they would go out and like when their other team's hitting or when the other team's in the field, they taunt them. They'd like do like a bunch of shit behind. Like they would go into the stands during the game and like sit behind and pretend to eat popcorn. Like the club just let them go free reign. And then it started blowing up on social media and the whole town loved them. And now they're like this huge famous thing. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, dude, I want to start like a volleyball club like that. I want to make it just like nonsense. But I mean, there's honestly kind of a lot of that in volleyball already. Like you get like Ocean Bay in there and they wear like the Hawaiian shirts and the Hawaiian hats and like bouncing balls. But I don't know. That was just a thought. I think it's insane.
I've never been to Six Man, but that's what it sounds like. Manhattan Beach. That's
yeah.
Sounds like where everyone just dresses up.
Bingo. And these guys do it at like a high level summer league baseball game. And like some of these guys are prospects to be pro. It's called like Savannah Bananas or something. Dude, I'm telling you, Google it. It's fucking bonkers. It's so cool. I think the shit that they do is just hysterical. Everything's like the owner even said, he's like, dude, we are almost more performers than their baseball players. He's like, but all of them are prospects. I was like, that's sick. So we should look into that.
Okay. I'm open to looking at what's going on over there, I suppose. It's always like, I wonder how they get away with doing that. What's the regulation in the league, I guess, is my question.
I'm assuming not much because they get away with a lot of shit. But I mean, it's a summer league, so
Yeah. Well, if we start our own league called the No Rules League, then we can definitely do whatever you want in there. You can dress up in slug costumes for all I care. But that's interesting.
See, I told you it was off track, but I was passionate about it, man. I put my heart into it.
You came in hot, man.
I
definitely did.
We were talking about recruiting before that, right?
Yeah, we were talking about like division
recruiting, building teams.
Yeah, so to the point, I mean, recruiting really is. That's pretty much the most important thing. Like, because if you can be a good recruiter, you don't have to do much technical coaching. You get to.
True.
You don't have to worry about coaching these kids up. You can just focus on managing them, making sure that you can like highlight the overall, more generic like things of the game, and then you get to go into like just more of the scouting and trying to do matchups and things like that. But if you have talent in your gym, you don't have to do a lot of technical coaching or fine tuning it. And more tactical. So
like you can't.
The fun part.
You can't have a team full of like projects. That's what I was always told. Like a team's always bring in a couple of projects. And by projects, you mean like a kid that's got some random raw talent, like crazy freak athlete or like really smart, but just isn't tuned. Like if you have all that in the gym, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
definitely need to limit the projects, I'd say. But, you do need to take those leap of faith. Like, pick smart projects, coaches. Like, this guy's been playing volleyball for a year and he looks pretty damn good already. Like, that's a good project to pick because it's a very technical sport. If they've only been playing for a year and they're already performing in that way, there's a good chance that you can make something out of that project. But if someone's been playing for 5 years and they have they started in 8th grade or whatever, and they're jumping out of the gym, but they just like are dumb as a rock, probably not a good project realistically. If they just
Yeah.
such a massive part of the game I'm finding is like the ability for kids to understand what's going on and like read the game. Like volleyball IQ is so much like above and beyond just physicality.
Yeah.
At least on the girls' side, I would say. I would assume it's the same on the guy. I would also say it is on the guys, but guys' game is just more about raw physicality. So
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
definitely.
you have to
also
be smart, but go ahead.
it's a balance, I think, for sure. I agree. It's
Oh
definitely a
yeah.
lot more about physicality, but it's got to be balanced. Like in Maryland, we didn't have a ton of club teams around, so we would usually play in like men's leagues and stuff when we were like 14s. And so we were playing against these older guys. Like my dad knew like a handful of them, like from playing with him and stuff, and like even before him, I think. These guys were like a good amount older, couldn't really jump, or they lost a lot of that physicality part, but they were just so smart. They knew where we weren't. They would just tip to like campfire or like wherever it was. They would hit off the block or, and then defensively, they couldn't like move very quickly, but they were always in like the right spot. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they beat us in two. Like these older guys, like
Yeah,
we
it's
thought we were
very
gonna beat
real.
them.
That's just like
Yeah,
outdoor game. But
Oh,
it's
this is something I wanted to ask Peter. Sorry, Callaway, if you finished your thought. Sorry.
go
Are
ahead.
you good? Okay. Peter, I want to see your perspective on this. So,
Yep.
what about from a recruiting standpoint, when you see like a hothead, like a kid who's not a head case, but a hothead, like getting cards and stuff like that? Because I know like a couple that have gone to like high division ones and been kind of tamed, or not tamed, but like the coach can kind of set that
The
standard.
issue.
What's your level with that? Like when you see a kid that's a hothead, is he like checked off your list personally? Or
Yeah, I'm gonna go personally. That's a good call. I'll say personally. So I mean, for me, I mean, do I like
also, as like a disclaimer, remember colleges, when they send out people recruiting, their whole coaching staff's recruiting. So it's like Peter's not just the only recruiter at GCU or something like that. So it's like there's a lot of different mentalities that go into it. So that's why I want to get your personal deal.
right? No, so yeah, personally, I mean, it would be like if I were running a program, whatever it is, like I'm looking at kids or I'm in charge of the recruiting. I mean, it depends on if I am close with their coach. I mean, if I can talk and say like, what's their home life like? I guess, or can they?
Get a little
Do you think
insight.
that there's a chance that they could get better? With some discipline. So it really would depend. I mean, if not, that's not really something that I want. And I think
Yeah.
high character is definitely an important part because you have to think too. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind being a student athlete. They have to take care of classes. They have to stay out of trouble. These are kids that are given freedom for the first time in their lives, really. So good character, I think, is very, very important when recruiting as well. So
For sure.
hothead, like I said, it would really depend. I would try to ask like, hey, is this something he could work on, or is this something that he's too far gone? And if he could work on it, I'd be willing to give him a
Also,
shot maybe. But yeah.
Shout that out. Listen to that. Peter goes straight to the coach and asks about background and character, because I feel like a lot of kids that I played with when I was in high school, with or against, like would be disrespectful as shit to their coach. I'm like, dude, like a coach, like, and my dad's been a coach for like 20 years. Like, there was a girl that was genuinely rude to him and disrespectful. A coach would come to him and be like, you don't want it. You don't want it. He's like, it's a problem.
It's the reality.
It's a problem. Like, so you better respect the shit out of your coach, because they can control your future.
I mean, go ahead, Peter.
I was just gonna say, coaches look at that stuff when they're recruiting. They see how they interact with other people.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, sorry, kids, but you're not the smartest because you're kids, and it's fine. You're gonna get there. You're gonna learn, but you think you know more than you do already. It's just very apparent. And the coaches, they gotta, like, kids. This is something kids definitely don't think about. They don't think, oh yeah, my coach, like it's my coach. They're going to back me no matter what a college coach asks them. Well, we also like have to protect our, our like name or what our brand, whatever, like if a college coach comes up to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great kid, like really good volleyball player, but like way better kid. And then they're actually the worst. And I didn't tell them that. You think they're going to come back and ask me for more advice or like, it's going to ruin opportunities for future players down the line. It's always best to be honest.
Going to avoid that club and just be like, all right, well, you can't trust the word of that club. Like, I'm not going back there.
Right.
So coaches have to protect their own business, because if you're not getting kids recruited to college, people don't want to come and play.
Right. So exactly. So there's just so much more that goes into every little situation. And of course, kids don't think about that, man.
Yeah. And dude, kids also this is another thing in hindsight. Like when I was playing, I was the exact same way. Like it's easy for me to say because now, like I said, hindsight, like I'm looking back on it. But like I used to get stressed as shit when a coach came around. Like I was like shitting a brick. Like every time we played at Penn State's tournament, I always saw Pav up in that little window in South Gym, Pav and Colin lurking like not creeps. Sorry, that was an offensive word. I don't know why I picked that. But they're up there lurking, and I couldn't get my mind off of it, dude. I just kept looking. I was like, bro, they better be thinking about me. And they weren't, which sucked. But like people get so over. I'm like, dude, in reality, 90% of the time when you're being watched, you don't even know the coach is there. And the coach has probably seen you play 100 to plus times. Like he's seen over 100 plays for sure of just like one player. And like, dude, they see so much more than what you think they see. Like they make, I feel like, Peter, you can speak to this. Do you make yourself seen at certain points and then not seen at other points? Because I always felt like, when there's a really big game, all the coaches would be up front and center. But when there was like a smaller game, or maybe to see how somebody reacted with a team less than them, you'd catch them like literally like leaning behind a pole behind like two dads. Is there a little bit of sneakiness?
I think it depends on the.
Peter's too clueless. Peter just fucking wanders at these things. he doesn't think about being.
Dude, I actually went down to the girls' tournament the other day. No. I mean, I like to try to stand out, like, because I don't know. I think for a lot of the kids, maybe they at least like it, right? I mean, it makes them nervous, but they're getting nervous because it's like an excitement. Yeah. Nervous. So I mean, I usually wear purple whenever we go.
I mean, you're wearing the stuff. But what I'm saying, I mean, I would occasionally catch coaches like lurking in the back and like hiding.
I pick the color that goes out, like stands out. Like I can go black, but like anybody is, a lot of schools are black. So I do the one that's like, oh, that's Grand Canyon. Everybody knows. So that's my strategy.
Peter's biggest strategy to date is wear purple. It's like
I'm not
he gets to a coach's meeting. He tells Worley, "Hey, I got my purple shirt. Don't worry, we're good."
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't really remember like seeing coaches at my court, which I'm glad, because that means I wasn't paying attention to them at all, and I was just having a blast playing. Because that's how I remember high school volleyball being for me. It was like just majority of the time being a blast. And if they're like the few times I do remember there being a coach, I was like, they're not here to watch me. They're here to watch like Jeschke or, someone we're playing, like realistically is what I was thinking. So I was like, I'm just going to have fun. And that's how I recommend going out there. Cause like, don't put all that stress on you. Like you think a coach is going to look at one bad play or something and like, oh, that's it. We don't want them. They shanked they shanked the serve. You're like, no, of course not. But that's how I feel like that's how so many, especially today, like there's like this mental fragility of like one mistake and all of a sudden it's just like snowballing. So get out of that mindset. Yeah.
For the most part, man, it just reminded me of like one match. For the most part, I thought I did a pretty good job because I was able to, they're watching Aaron or like whatever. Like it was, it was pretty easy to be able to move it off. But there was one match I just remember, it was Penn State coaches and Ohio State coaches were sitting next to each other watching. And they were kind of by themselves. So I was very obvious that it was them. And I just remember I had one error and I was like, okay, well, this next one I have to bounce the ball even harder in order to like make up for it. Pull that one even farther out of bounds. And then I tried another one. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bounce this one even harder. I got blocked. And then my coach pulled me. It was like one of the only times I probably got pulled like a couple years, but like not many times I got pulled in club. That was one of the times. Like Callaway, to your point, man. I wanted to try to impress them after I made one error, and it caused me to make two more errors, and then I was done. So, remember that.
They're on your court. you already did all the work. You don't need to do anything special. That's my advice to any young players watching. Like if they're on your court, whether they're there to watch you or someone else on your court, like the hard work's already done. Then you just got to play. You don't have to do anything extra. They're there because they know you're a good player and they just want to watch you play. You don't have to do anything crazy special. Just keep playing the same game you've been playing.
True.
Absolutely.
You about to say something, Calvin? Go ahead.
Nope, just heavy sigh.
Big size.
Lost.
One thing that I was going to bring up, we can do a small touch on this, but I think it's very interesting how all these teams are now like getting really big into social media in terms of like TikTok and stuff. I see all kinds of TikToks on their Instagrams too, and like their reels, like UCLA, Pepperdine posts a bunch of stuff. Like they had one the other day of Jalen like housing somebody, and they're like, "What? Like what's worse than getting blocked?" And it's like getting blocked again by the same guy. Like they just do some very interesting things. So I think that that's something to keep an eye out for. I think it's very UCLA's got a sick one too. But I just wanted to throw that.
That's a great way to watch. That's a great way to watch like men's volleyball highlights. We should just be putting those on full blast everywhere because
what I said.
People need to understand how fun this is to watch. Like
it's cool.
It's crazy to me that people don't love watching this sport. It is so fun. I mean, I would love for us to get out of the like ace or air mentality that's in the men's game right now. It seems very like full force. I would love to like play a little bit more volleyball, but other than that, it is such a fun sport to watch.
I love the ace or air. I'm not gonna lie. I love just ripping.
Dude,
I love
Olympics
it when boys just go
literally
up and
not
pipe.
even fun to watch this year.
That was awful. Yeah, that was way too many errors. But yeah,
there's got to be a balance. I mean, Callaway, I felt like my junior senior year, like when you were freshman, redshirt freshman, like I thought we were such a good serving and serving pass. We did a bunch of that, but I thought that we had guys that like float serves like me, you, Hammond, and we were just good at pretty much just putting it in. And then we had guys like Aaron and Cypher Goodell that could just freaking bomb it. And we had guys that were ace or error, and we had guys that were keeping it in. So I think if you have a balance, that's perfect. I still remember that we missed like so many of our serves in the Final Four match, though. Against Loyola.
Like honestly, as a middle, I remember talking to Pav and just the coaching staff. It was either my junior or senior year, and I just felt like every time I was going through the front row, it was like 3 missed serves in a row, or like 2 out of 3 missed serves, and I was like,
brutal.
I can't get a feel for the game. And I think Taylor Averill even touched on it about just like this like intuition you start getting. You just start like feeling where the ball is going to get set. It's not even like I didn't even feel like I was reading the setter, like I probably was. But all of a sudden, I'm just like making moves like as soon as it leaves their hands and getting out and putting up a huge block. And it's just because like I had seen what they were doing long enough. I didn't have to think about it. It's just like my body's just going to go. But when we're missing serves like 60% of the time, I'm like, I don't know what their offense is because they haven't run it yet. So here comes a perfect pass on the meatball serve. And here we go. 4 attackers. Great. Oh, I'm useless. Okay, this is fun. Volleyball's fun. Middle's the best.
Have you guys ever felt like you kind of get like lulled to sleep, kind of to Callaway's point, like just so many errors, and then like one set they just come out of the gates and they're just like not making errors, and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
I've definitely been
terrible feeling.
It's
you win the first 2 sets like 25-10, and then like they come out and win like 25-15. You're like, what the hell?
It sucks too, because when you're in game, it doesn't feel like that. Like you feel like they're making a lot of errors, but you don't really know the numbers of it. And then you check stats, and it's like, dude, we earned 6 points and we won like 25-10. It's like, oh my god, yeah, dude. And those games when people just aren't like teams just aren't making errors. There's some days where you walk in and a team's just playing to near perfection. Like every hitter's banging, everything's in system, and there's like nothing more frustrating than that because you just like, you can't stop it. And I feel like you're always playing like shit when they're playing like that because they're just bombing you.
So going off of, we talked about this beforehand. One way that does honestly stop it, like some defensive effort. Like
what a transition.
No, man, you sacrifice your body. You sacrifice your body out there. That pumps the team up. And that's like a lot of times just somewhat of a momentum boost. I mean, I'm sure you guys have stories that you could think of.
I mean, there's 2 ways. One, an insane effort play where someone's flying off the court, laying out, pulling the ball back. I mean, that's what usually gets on the Sports Center top 10 is that third contact or second contact where someone just like punches it over and it lands end line. All of a sudden, like, oh, it's the other team's point. And the other team's like, what just happened? I thought I just bounced that ball. And then the other time is if you just stick the crap out of someone that just pipes it on open net, and you just get in there, pop it up high middle of the court, and they're like, what do I have to do to get a kill here? And then they're thinking about that next swing, and that's all it is, and that is such a huge momentum changer for that. So that's way to bring that up, Peter. Yeah. And I want to keep harping on it because effort is so important in all sports and all aspects of life, but like especially in volleyball, so many balls that you can get to that you just don't make. You just look at it and you're like, I don't know, that seems like a lot to go for, but you can definitely get it up.
I agree completely. Full sending. You just got to go. Like I do that all the time. I've always done that. Peter coached me when I was in high school. Like, dude, it could be at the back corner of the gym. Like, I mean, like really far fetched. Like at this point in my career, it's like I'm watching that thing sail 50 feet. And like in high school, I'd be like, oh fuck, here we go. And I just like dive. I'm like, well, I'm not like, it's not even close. But to your point, it like if you do that for every single ball, you're gonna get way more than what you would typically get. Without doubt. Like it was so easy for me to see just when I started doing it for like 2 weeks. It's crazy.
But you were pretty much like the Kool-Aid man and through the wall. Like you would totally just be.
Dude, if I could find a way to like actually run into a wall or a chair when I was in like high school, I got like pumped up. Like if I saw a ball, like even if I couldn't get it, like I don't know why. It just got me amped to like go that hard because it's a non-contact sport. If I can set my like body into like a stand and like clip a couple people and save the ball, not for the purpose of clipping the people, but it just adds like the adrenaline rush,
Yeah,
but
no,
scores table.
I do have a funny story to what Callaway said. The effort ball, obviously, that's probably my favorite. But when you said sticking somebody, that's just gonna like clap a ball. So we're in practice the other night, and they're in rotation one. Our outside is running from the right side. He has a good connection with our other setter, and he runs an inside ball, like a back two as a right side. And our outside was gone, like blocking line on an inside ball, and he's all the way out the antenna. So this guy has free net. Our middles were nowhere to be found. This guy's open net, and I'm in right back because I'm an opposite. So I'm like, dude, I just got to step in and find a way to wear this. I step in, and I just go spread arms, snag a perfect pass to our setter with my left hand, and I'm so pumped. And I always tell my setter to give me a give and go, like if I get a good play, to like give it back to me, and I'm going to put it away. And I'm back row, so I take a big transition, and I hack this ball out of bounds. No, like hack it. It was terrible. I was like went from the highest of high to the lowest of low. Like I couldn't talk to anybody. I like put my head in the net. I was like, oh my god, it was terrible.
Dude, there is something that it's very common to like just have your eyes just get big and you're like, oh, this one, like there's a lot of good sets that I've just pulled out of bounds because I was trying to hit it so hard. Oh my god. Tom Comfort, love the man, but he had the worst open net syndrome I ever saw when I was a redshirt freshman, and he's taking a swing on the open net. I'm like, you got two. I don't want him to know he's got nobody. He's blasting it out.
You got to,
No, don't tell him he's got open net because it's not going to work out very well. Put a triple block in front of the man. He's a beast, but open net, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, those guys are
frustrating. He was so frustrating to block against, man, because he could just high hands with.
Yeah, Tom's a beast, man. I miss him, but shout out to Tom Comfort.
I don't know what position was he?
He's an outside.
What year was he?
Opposite. Sorry, yeah.
Like 20.
He was a senior when I was a freshman, so he graduated in 13.
Yeah,
gotcha.
You're older than.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, guys. You got any other send-offs? You got any last little things to toss in there?
I don't know. I think we can make that a wrap.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Sweet. Let's go. See you, boys.